So we have covered just first generation and second generation of HDLC process on yesterday's class. Okay, so first gen we have 4: waterfall, prototype, spiral, and incremental. I hope all 6 models are clear to you. And then the second generation we have discussed with the fish and V process, right? Sivakumari and Jagdish. I think that 6 models is clear to you. If you have any doubts, then let me know. And second thing, like that models is not using by the current companies, like whatever the organization you are going to join. So the people will join with the agile methodology only. So that is the model we should follow. So that's why I'm going to start with the agile methodology. So if you have any doubts regarding to any of the model, then you can ping me on chat so that I can answer it. Okay. Okay, let's start with agile methodology. So as we know, like when we are using the fish model means, so if you are dealing with the high-end applications, for example, yeah, for the satellites or rocket launchings or aeronautical systems or AI systems, if you are working for such a type of applications, we have to go with the fish model. Okay, so there we are using the fish model. Okay. So now today we are going to start with Agile. Already I have already given some manifesto of Agile process on yesterday's class, right? So what are the 4 points I have discussed in the Agile manifesto is, first thing you have to, yeah, so you have to be individual and interactive over a process and tool. Okay, whatever the process and tool they are using, you have to stick to that particular process and tools. Okay. Second thing, you have to be very careful about your documentation part, and you have to be collaboratively communicative with your customers or clients in a shortcut, I'm saying. And final thing, you have to be responsive to change over a plan. So this is the manifesto of a agile process that I have explained yesterday. So out of like different submodels of agile methodology, so we have chosen the agile scrum process, that is the current market is trending with. So this is a software development like life cycle process. To develop a new software application, you need to follow this agile scrum process. Okay. So first of all, we learn about scrum. So what is scrum? Actually, scrum is coming from one of the popular game, that is rugby game. Okay. So this game we heard in a one movie, Sai movie, Nitin's, right? So rugby game. So the scrum word is came from rugby game. So in that game, actually one scenario will be happen, like there will be two teams, one team and opponent team. So there will be forming as a one team, like the collision will be happen, and apart from that, like ball passing and something will be happen. So if you see that particular movie, so you can able to see that particular scene. Okay, it's like a collision between the two particular teams actually. So they have taken this scrum word from the rugby game. Okay, so as per that particular game, empire like will say scrum, then the two teams will form as a one team actually. So that's the concept here. So scrum is nothing but, we would say, formation of two teams as a one team. We are calling it as a scrum team. Okay, so formation of two teams as one team, we are calling it as a scrum team. So as per the 2 days explanation of all STLC process, can you guess like what is the two teams we will refer? The two teams combinedly we are calling it as a one team. So yeah, correct. So the combination of development team plus QA team or testing team, combinedly we are calling it as a scrum team. Okay. So if anyone is called the scrum team members is nothing but, so we will be calling it as a ST team. So ST team is nothing but, it's a combination of dev and QA. Okay. For example, in the interviews also, what is the team size they will ask. If they have asked for the team size, you have to say the combination of your dev and QA. For suppose you are saying 4 members of testing team, like you are giving 4, so you are not working on a agile methodology, because the team will represent, it's like a combination of dev and QA. For example, if you are saying the team count of 9, so in that you have to give the, let's say I have 6 developers or 3 testers. It's like a combination. So generally, how the QA and dev, the employee size will be decided is, it will be depend on the type of project and complexity of the project we are working on. All the commercial application like shopping sites or healthcare, whatever the logistics related thing, they will choose the ratio of 3:1, which means for 3 developers 1 tester is sufficient. Okay, so 3 developers 1 tester. And sometimes, okay, if you consider the yesterday's example of satellite or rocket launching by using fish model, then the ratio will be changed. It will be 1:7 actually. For 1 developer 7 testers. So because we are doing double verification, you have to verify the BRS document, SRS testing, design documents testing, unit testing, integration testing, software testing, acceptance testing, release testing. Like that, we are involving multiple stages of testing. So for one development of one particular program or one particular module, there will be a 7 different teams to test that particular changes. So that's why it will be changed. So that's why I'm saying based on the complexity of the project. For example, I'm working on the cloud networking related projects, current projects. So there 1:1 is sufficient. For 1 developer, 1 tester is sufficient. So it is purely depend on what type of project you are working on. The type of project will decide the QS team size. So that's why while explaining your team size, you have to include your developers and testers ratio. Okay, so that's why this is a Scrum team. You have to include both QA and development related things. So that's why commonly we are calling it as a Scrum team. The Scrum word came from the Ruby game. Okay, so this is like a brief about the Scrum word. And here also we are implementing the application increment by increment. It will be followed by increment by increment. Okay, so every increment will be having the previous increment plus extra feature. Correct, right? Previous increment, so plus one extra feature we are adding on every increment to implement the software application. Okay, so it is like a one extra increment. So that's why increment itself we are calling it as a, so in agile methodology we don't use the word increment. The increment word itself we are calling it as a sprint. So again, it is a new word. Scrum is, it's like a process word, and sprint, in the Scrum process we are using the sprint methodology. Sprint is nothing but it's like a duration, I would say. Increment or sprint, we will be calling it as a duration. Duration is nothing but the sprint size. Okay, how much sprint size will be, like how much the duration of the sprint size will be, like it will be depend on the, again, company, project owner, and the type of team we have. Mostly maximum companies will go with the, so maximum ratio I am explaining. The maximum ratio of the sprint duration will be 2 weeks of sprint, mostly they will be followed. Okay, so 2 weeks of duration of the sprint is the maximum case, but it will be a 3 week of sprint, or worst cases it will be 30 days. Mostly 30 days no one will use, it's like a very less ratio. 2 weeks is maximum count, so some minimum count we can take it as a 3 week sprint. For example, for my company, we are using the 3 weeks from the starting onwards, but from my career, from the first company onwards, I worked with the 2 week sprint only. But the current company only they are following the 3 week. So it will be depend on the company and the project we are working on. Okay, so 30 days I didn't say, but maybe some people will go with the 30 days of sprint also. Okay. Okay, so this is about the Agile Scrum methodology. So you have learned the new word, that is sprint. Sprint is nothing but a duration. In sprint, whatever the things you can able to complete within this particular 2 weeks of duration, those things only we will take up and we will work on that particular things. That will be represented this particular Scrum process. Okay, clear this intro?
Yes.
Yeah. Jagdish, please chat. I am unable to hear you. Okay, we have a new joinee like Rashmi. Good
Yes.
morning.
Good morning.
Rashmi Ranjan.
Yeah. Audible, ma'am?
Okay, so if you are having any doubts, then let me know. But so for implementing the new software application, we should follow one particular process, that is the SL Scrum process. Okay, so Scrum, it's like a formation of two teams as one team. So the two teams itself, we are calling it as a development and testing team. So if anyone calls as a Scrum team, then we have to give the count as both combination of development and testing. And then we are implementing the software application, because SDLC nothing but software development life cycle. To develop a new software application, what is the approach we are following? We are developing a software application increment by increment. We are following the incremental process, because you are not taking all the customer requirements at once, and you are not taking it up, and you are not implementing up, but you are taking the every sprint with a previous sprint feature for plus one extra feature, because you are adding up all the features one by one to that particular thing. Then only you are able to get one particular software application, because software itself, I am calling it as a set of executable programs. So that's why, so set of executable programs. Let's say for example, you have taken up one banking application, and you have to implement that particular banking application. You have login functionality, you have logout functionality, okay, you have forget password functionality, and you have home screen. In home screen you have different features related to banking. So these are all of set of executable modules you have to implement it. Okay, for implementing this, let's say for example, one particular sprint duration, the 2 weeks of duration, I have taken up the login module. Once I have taken up this particular login module, and I was done with this particular changes on that 2 weeks or 3 weeks of duration, and in the second sprint, okay, so I am adding the login plus logout. So you are taking up logout feature only for the second sprint, but you need to add this feature with the previous sprint feature also, because you have to consolidate all these particular features to make it as a one particular software application. So software itself, we are calling it as a set of executable programs. You have to combine each and every features or modules or logics together, and you have to integrate it. Then your software application will be ready. So as a tester, it is your responsibility to understand the development process, how the companies is following, so that you can able to directly work on the company which process they are following. So this is the most popular method in the market. The people is using the Agile Scrum methodology. So that's why I have given overview of the Agile Scrum process word. Now I am going to explain the flow diagram of the Agile Scrum process. Okay. From the starting, I will draw Agile Scrum methodology. Okay. So as we know already, so I said already, any software development process will be started with software bidding. So this is, we will be calling it as a, it is like a new proposal. Software bidding is nothing but it's a new proposal. So terminology also little bit change. It's a new proposal to develop a new software application. So application, the softwares can be in a three different platform. What are the three different platforms we have in the market? Either it can be a Windows application, or it can be a website application, or it can be a mobile application. So anything, whatever the project or product it was came. So I can also include, it might be a project, or it might be a product. Okay. So it might be a project based, or it might be a product. So what is the difference between project and product? Huh, correct. So project is nothing but, if we are working for a specific customer requirements, then it will be, we are calling it as a project. If you are working for a overall requirements in the market, then we will be calling it as a product. Let's say for example, if you are using all these e-commercial applications, like let's say Flipkart or Myntra, these are all, we will be calling it as a products, because every customer in the market can be able to use this particular application, So that's why we are calling that as a products. Project is nothing but specific customer. Let's say for example, I said banking example. So you have the account holder of banking, HDFC or ICICI. You can able to use on that particular web application only. So I have ICICI, so I can use ICICI net banking application only. So other than this particular bank, no one can able to log into this particular ICICI, or if you have access or HDFC. So this is like a specific customer's requirement, specific to that particular account holders only can be able to use that particular application. So that's why. So project is nothing but specific customer requirement we are considering. Then we will be calling that as a project. So in a software bidding, it will be a product, it will be a project, but process will be same. Okay. So bidding, so we know already the word bid. So you are bidding some amount. Bidding is nothing but you are quoting something to the company. So what will be quoted means the customer will came to this particular company and approach the CEO or higher management of the company. So hey, I need one new software application, can you able to provide with this particular bidding amount? So that will be happening on the software bidding meeting. So I said already example of that TCS, and let's say for example take the example of IBM. So they are good at with the insurance providers. Let's say you have the SBI insurance, medical insurance, health insurance, car insurance, different insurance portals will be there. So they are good at this. So I have let's say for example I am taking care of, let's say for example of insurance of some home loan insurance or something. So I wanted to implement two for my customer. So I have a LIC or something different home loan insurance company, and I wanted to implement one online application so that the people can able to uh, pay the insurance fee on that particular portal and then claim it by using that particular application. So whatever nowadays what we are doing it in an online way only. Payments we will do online. If you want to claim something, you will submit your documents through online, and the claim process will be happen, and you can track it using your software application. Everything will be happen in a software only. So that's why what I will do. So I need one software application for my insurance holders. So that's why I will approach to this particular IBM company. So I will give a bidding amount of something with our CEO or higher management of the company, and I'll ask for implement a new software, whatever the customer requirements I have. Based on that, I will share the requirements to the CEO or higher management of the company. So what is the meeting name and what is the purpose and who is attending? So now the first meeting will be bidding meeting, bidding call. So bid will be happened between the CEO and the customer of the company. CEO or higher management will be receiving the proposal from the customers. Okay. So customer will give the proposal to the CEO or higher management of the company, and then if the bidding amount and everything like the software or the whatever the other factors is satisfying with that particular IBM needs, then they will take that proposal from the customer and they will try to implement that particular application. That is the first stage. Any company will followed by this particular process only, bidding. So first meeting bidding was done. Second will be once bidding was done, the second meeting will be kick-off meeting. So who will be attending in this particular kick-off meeting is here also two persons will be there, CEO of the company, CEO or higher management of the company, along with customer or client will be involving in this particular kick-off meeting. So what is the purpose of this kick-off meeting is once we decided to implement the application, so we need a one person to take care and take the ownership and leadership of the all activities including technical business needs non-technical thing from the starting taking of the project requirements to ending it to the releasing to the customer. One person we required to analyze and to take over all the things. That person we will be calling it as a product owner. Here terminology will be product owner. The terminology will be changed. In an older process, we will be calling it as a product manager, but especially in a agile scrum process, we will be calling that role as product owner. Okay. So this process we will be calling it as a selection of PO. So PO stands for product owner. Very important. This terminology is very important to if you want to work with the Agile Scrum methodology. No worry. For this Agile Scrum process, I will talk 2 days continuously so that each and every process will be clear to you in this particular couple of days. Okay. Kickoff meeting. So kickoff meeting is nothing but it's like a selection of product owner. So as I said already, product owner is the one who is having and responsible for end-to-end activities of a software development process. So who will be appointed this product owner is the CEO or higher management of the company will choose one particular product owner. Okay, once he was selected, who will approve means the customers or clients. I already said so. There will be a customer or client meetings will be there in the companies, like customer or client interviews will be there, which means whoever selected, that selection will be approved by the client interview. So a client interview, they will say, okay, for my application, okay, he is the one who is suitable or not. That will be decided in the kickoff meeting phase. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you are asking to Rashmi Rajan, you are asking like difference between project and product, right? Repetition. So project is nothing but, so if you have considered the customer, specific customer requirements, let's say specific customer in the sense, you have some health insurance. Okay. So how you will log into the health insurance? So they will provide one net banking or networking related website application or the mobile application, so that will be used for the specific customer. So if you go with this particular WhatsApp team size, who will yeah, team size. Okay, so that will comes like one by one. So already I have explained for the scrum team size. So the scrum team size will be dev plus QA, I already said. So QA and developer is the part of that particular scrum team and the development process, but before and after also high level we need to take care of all the things. So that is what I am explaining. There are lot of roles will come. So now product owner came. So next onwards we will be getting the scrum master, and then we will be having the development team, technical architects will be there in the company. So I will explain one by one. So there are different roles in the Agile Scrum process actually. Okay. Yeah. But if you are talking specifically about the team size, you don't need to involve all these particular product owners or the scrum masters and all. But if you are asking about the team size, you just involve your developers and QA count. So if you are giving the count as 7 or 8, then you have to give okay 5 developers and 2 testers. So how this size will be decided? I said like starting. I think you joined late. So 5 plus 2. So it will be depend on the type of application you are working on. So normal simple shopping site, logistics site, it will require only 3:1 ratio, which means for 3 developers, 1 tester is sufficient. Because in a software, we will be having the front end and back end. So as part of our course, we are also going to cover the front end UI testing and then back end databases testing, and middle API testing also will be covered. Okay, so if you are working for the networking or cloud related system, 1:1 is sufficient, 1 developer, 1 tester. So if you are working with the satellites or rocket launching stating, you are working for a huge application, then it will be like a 1:7. Okay, high end application. Yeah. So let's back to the Agile Scrum flowchart. Okay, so now, okay. So once bidding was done and we have selected one product owner, and then let's go with the third step of the Agile Scrum process. The third step will be product backlog grooming meeting. Okay, this we will be also calling it as a PBL meeting, product backlog grooming meeting. So product is nothing but product or project. It is not only product, we can also consider it as a project. Whatever we came up for, that is fine. The customer whatever he is asking, so it is a product backlog grooming meeting. Okay. So the product you are working on, Backlog is nothing but which is not completed, right? In our education also we have the backlog, means the particular subject is not completed yet, you still need to complete that one, that we will be calling it as a backlogs. So we have some backlogs. Grooming is nothing but collecting. So we have the broomsticks at home where we will collect everything at one place, so that is like a grooming meeting. So product backlog grooming meeting, so who will be involving in this particular grooming calls is main PO will be there, and then customer or client will be there. Both are same, customer or client or both are same. PO, customers and clients will be involved in the product backlog grooming meeting. So the PO will sit with customers, and then he will gather all the requirements from the customers. Okay, so that is the main purpose of the product backlog grooming meeting. What he will do, PO will sit with customers to gather the requirements. That is the stage we calling it as a product backlog grooming stage. And he is gathering the requirements, and he is converting that requirements into user stories. I'll explain what is user story, what will be involved in the user story, that I will explain tomorrow. But high level, you should understand now. The PO will gather all the requirements from the customer, and he is making that as a user story. User story is nothing but like whatever they have asked, they will taking it as a like a one particular task actually. Okay. So that is the purpose of product backlog grooming meeting, that we will be calling it as a PBL meeting. Once the PO has gathered all the requirements, but before this agile process, like older generation of software development life cycles, we will be having the BA, business analyst. But here, PO will take care of all the customer engagements, and gathering requirements will be covered by the product owner only. Once product owner received all these particular backlogs, then the next meeting will be there in agile process, that we will be calling it as a sprint planning meeting. So this sprint planning meeting, we will be also calling it as a SBL meeting, sprint backlogs and product backlogs. What is the difference between the sprint backlogs and product backlogs? I will explain now. So sprint planning meeting, who will be involving in the sprint planning is, we will be having another new role, that is Scrum Master. So Scrum Master is the one who is dealing and who is the mediator between the dev and QA, who is organizing all the meetings related to Scrum process will be handled by this particular Scrum Master. So along with that Scrum Master, Scrum team also will be there. So for your understanding purpose, I will use Scrum team word. So you have to assume developers and QA also will be joined, and PO also will be joined, and customers also will be joined. Why this much people are required, then I will explain. Scrum Master, who is organizing the meetings of all sprint related things, and then who is the one who is taking the status of all the team members and organizing, and if they're stuck with any blockers, he is the one who is helping them to clear the way. And then PO and customers also will be involved. So now I will show the product backlog and sprint backlog. Let's say, for example, this is my product backlog, which means let's consider any application. You can take ABC Bank. So I am working for this particular ABC Bank new application development. So in product backlog, PO collected some requirements. What the customer has requested means, let's say, for example, the customer has been asked for the login page, because login is main thing. So login page is nothing but how login page will be. Okay. For his, the login page should be like this. Okay. They are asking to give one user ID with a 10-digit number, and how the 10 digits also he is explaining. Okay. So we have to add some 4 digits of their date of birth or mobile number, and we have to do some calculation. They will give 10-digit number, and then we have to give the password and some one security checkbox followed by OTP. Then only the people can able to log into the application. This is what I am saying, the requirement. So the requirement of the login is decided by this particular ABC Bank is this one, and this was collected by the product owner. So once I have collected for the login, okay, PO has different requirements. Let's say they have given the logout requirement, and they have given for the home screen requirement, and they have given the requirement for the balance check. Okay, they have given the requirement for the fund transfer. Okay, for example, okay, fund transfer, and let's say mini statement, and then loan section. Okay, so these are the requirements. For example, this is the set of requirements which the ABC Bank has been shared with the PO in the product backlog grooming meeting. This we will be calling it as a PBS. These are my product backlogs which is not completed, right? But I groomed from the customers. This is the what I need to implement. But in a sprint methodology, I said already in the starting of the class, in a sprint methodology, we are working on a duration. What are the tasks which will be completed in that particular duration? Those things only we are taking. Okay. So for a sprint, you have to take some particular task. So which means you are splitting this entire stories into small things. Sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4, and so on. Okay, let's say for example for login page I can able to complete the backend portion first. Okay, related backend databases, API integration, I can able to complete it. Let's say I can include the login related backend things in the first sprint, for example. Okay, and all other integration of that particular backend, and then entire login web UI user interface I am taking up for the second sprint. Let's say take an example of sprint 1, this is my sprint 2, this is my sprint 3, and so on. So let's assume I am following with the 2 weeks of sprints only in a generic way. So in 2 weeks I can able to, let's say I can able to complete the logout in the another sprint. So I'm just splitting the features across the sprints. This is what we will be calling it as a, this is what we will be calling it as a sprint backlog. Okay, this is what we will be calling it as a sprint backlog. So this is what we can take it as a SPLs. Sprint by sprint you are taking up, and you are adding your previous sprint features to the next sprint, and you are making something, and again you are adding it and you are doing it. So once some features are done, then you can able to release it to the customer. This is what PBL and this is what SPL. So that's why product backlog and sprint planning meeting is very important. In product backlog, customer and PO are sufficient to collect the requirements and understand the requirement. But why the sprint planning is required with this members is, as I said, Scrum Master is the organizer of the all particular meetings. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So product owner is the, okay. Scrum Master is the one who is handling all the related things, and the Scrum team is required to analyze the requirement of that particular user story, which means the complexity will be decided by the Scrum team only. So Scrum team is required, and why customer is required as per this particular is, he will decide the importance of that particular user story. Let's say for example, first you are starting with the fund transfer or balance check feature in a first sprint. Is it like an important feature? No. First you have to go with login, logout, home screen, and then you can able to some part of the things to the customer. So that's why customer will give the importance of the user stories which will be started first. So that's why based on the size, based on the complexity, and based on the importance, we will be choosing the requirements from one to another. Okay, so how we are splitting the requirements based on the size, based on the complexity, and based on the importance of the user stories, we will be allocating the user stories with the sprint 1 and sprint 2. Okay, another thing, like the size, I am talking about the size, which size it will be measured. Actually, the PBLs, the product backlogs will be measured with a normal t-shirt sizing actually. So this is also one of the interview question they will ask, how the product backlogs will be measured. The product backlogs will be measured with the t-shirt sizing. So for example, I can able to give the user story like based on the complexity. I can give the sizing actually. So for login, I can give the medium story. Logout I can give small story, because how the logout will be done in a normal way. So you have to simply click on the profile button and just click the logout will be happen. So that's why I'm giving it as a small, because complexity is like less. But for login, you have to enter it, like create the user ID, and you have to create password, and you have to check the authentication. So a lot of things will be involved, which means lot of points is coming. So that's we are calling it as a story points. Based on the story points, the size will be decided. If you have some 5 story points, then it will be a medium story. If you have only 1 or 3 points, let's say click on profile and clicking on logout button, so that's like a only 2 stories. So you can give small. Okay, if it is giving like about 5, like 7 or 9 or something, then you can give it as a large story. Home screen I can give large, because all the balance check, fund transfer minutes, everything will be included in the home screen. So I'm giving it as a large. Balance check again I can give it as a large story. Fund transfer I can give it as a Excel, because it is like a sender and receiver concept. You have to send something, and you have to check your account, and you have to add beneficiary, and you have to send some amount to the another account. So I can give it as a Excel. There will be a lot of steps to do, so that's why I can give it as a Excel. Again, mini statement I can give medium, because simply download of the statement of your account. And loan section I can give it as a double XL or triple XL, because in one particular loan we will be having the personal loans, home loans, car loans, different loan sections will be there on every banking application. So that's where that is like a double XL story. So based on the size, so double XL stories you can't able to take it in a one sprint. So you can able to split it into small user stories. Again, you have to split that loan session into again PL session and then home loan session again. So again, if you have lot of things to do in the personal loan session, again you can able to split it, and you can able to divert to each and every sprint. So it will take lot of sprints to work on. So you have to work on multiple sprint to make one particular application. So generally, how the software will be implemented means in a software sprint methodology. So you have to, let's say for example, software is nothing but I can say it is a combination of multiple modules. So if one module is completed, for completing one module, you have to work on multiple sprints. Correct? With one sprint you can't able to create one particular module. So multiple modules only we will be calling it as a software, because one module you completed you can't able to give it to the customer. Login you can't give it. So multiple modules testing only we will be calling it as a, so multiple modules testing we will be calling it as a one complete software testing. Correct? The statements. So multiple sprints testing, we will be calling it as a one complete module testing. Multiple modules testing itself, we will be calling it as a one complete software testing. So you have to work on multiple sprints to complete one module. So you have to work with multiple modules to complete software application. Okay. I think it is clear. Yeah, Jagdish asked it for the product owner. Okay, I will repeat about the product owner. Yeah, so this is the one. So product owner, generally he is a bridge between the customers and technical people, which means us. For the scrum team and for the customer side, he is a mediator. We can say he is the bridge between the business people and then technical people, which means he is responsible to gather all the requirements from the customer. That is first thing. Second thing, as I said, PO is the one who will decide all technicalities to the team members. So let's say for example, on which tool or technology we have to, including the team size also. So the team also will be formed by the product owner only. PO only will decide how much dev is required for that particular project, how much QA is required, because he is very clear about the customer requirement. Based on the requirements complexity, he will decide the size. First thing. Second thing, he will help us to choose the particular tool and technology. Let's say you are working on some application. So what type of tools we have to choose? Development side, there will be a lot of tools and algorithms and configurations will be there. But he will also decide the dev related tools and technologies to be used. For QA also, he will decide whether it is a manual testing or automation. What are the tools we have to use? Let's say you are doing manual testing. For tracking your task or for raising your bugs, you need to use one Jira tool or Azure DevOps, ADO tool. So these are the tools for accessing and using all these user stories and bugs. I will show you the Jira or ADO board for your understanding in the next classes. So this will be decided by the PO only. And for example, let's say you needed to do the automation also. So if the automation is needed or not, that is also will be decided by the PO only. If it is needed, where exactly we need to do the automation and which tools and technologies we need to use. Let's say he will give, okay, you need to use Selenium or you need to use Java or Python language for writing the coding. Based on their project needs, he will decide, which means technically he will assess. Till the release process, he will be helping to the each and every team member for understanding the requirements of the customer, for understanding the technicalities which can be done and which can be not done, how the process will be followed to implement a software application. As a technical wise also, he will guide. He won't do coding, but he will help on all aspects like with development, QA task, and design parts. Everything he'll be helping because he is very clear about the requirement. He's like a purely technical plus non-technical person, we can say. So PO should have the confidence of for business things, and he can need to deal with the customers. So some issues is happened, he need to talk with the customers and clients, and he also interact with the software team to understand the needs of the business, how it can be done. Okay, so that is the purpose of the product owner. Jagdish, is it clear? He is the one who is taking care of all the things, okay, from starting to ending. But Scrum Master is different. So Scrum Master is the one who is organizing all the meetings in the Agile Scrum process. So that's why the Scrum Master, he is the master of the Scrum process. But PO is having lot of tasks. So especially to organize, let's say this backlog meeting also will be organized by the Scrum Master. This planning meeting also will be organized by the Scrum Master, and he'll also play crucial role for selecting of user stories, and then for interacting between the dev and QA. Generally, in a companies, between developers and QA, every day war will happen. It's like a cold war, because whatever the developers has been developed, they feel it is correct only, but we will focus on the customer requirements. So there will be a clash between dev and QA every time. That should be there, because you have to try to break the system. They are making the system, but QA is trying to break that particular system. So that's why there will be always some small things will be happen between dev and QA. So he is the bridge between the QA and development team. So he is the facilitator, and he will work with both the team to understand the things and to understand the priorities, and to set whether it is based on the requirement or not. He will decide actually. So Scrum Master will come more in the Agile process, so that you will get understanding more of the Scrum Master. Okay. So I hope till sprint planning meeting it is clear, right? First bidding for taking the proposal, second for selection of the product owner, third product owner is the one like who is gathering the requirements and allocating to the team members, and then sprint planning meeting, because you have lot of requirements like lot of backlogs in the PBLs, but you can't able to take it up everything at once. So that's why you have to split it into sprint by sprint. That will be happened in the sprint planning. Product backlog for making all the backlogs, sprint planning for splitting them into different based on the size, complexity, and the importance of the user story. Yeah, fine. So till here we are clear. Planning was done. Once planning was done, now we will be starting with the Scrum team. Okay, here our Scrum team will come. So this is your Scrum team. Yeah. So once we got, okay, you know what are the user stories you have worked for sprint one. Okay, sprint one, I got some task to do. First, what will be happened is, first the requirements will be designed by the technical architect. So technical architect is the one who will prepare the HLDs and LLDs, high level designs and low level designs. Okay, so you can take this diagram only, like let's say this is the high level of your application, but in a low level, how you have to check is you have to clearly check the back end interaction with the front end interaction. Okay, let's say for example take another pane. So you are implementing the login. Okay, so the customer has entered the login, username, password, and clicked on the sign in button. So once you send the request in a backend, what will happen? So you have requested something. So in a backend, we will be having the APIs and then databases. So in a low level, how to check this input should be interacted with your APIs, and this API request will hit to the database, and we need to check whether username entry is there in the database tables or not. Okay, this is like your database and this is your API, but you are not hitting these things to database because you can't able to directly interact with this, but through API request only you can able to interact with the database. So while explaining API and database, you will get clarity, but high level you should understand this one. And then if you got this particular username in your database tables, the database will give the response to the API. API again will give the response to the front end. Okay, we have the match it with this particular username and password. You can further go to the home screen. Otherwise, if there is a mismatch, like it is an invalid credential, again the expectation will be some error message. Okay, we are not able to find the records with this particular username or password, or invalid username or invalid password. They will give proper error message what type of request you have sent. Whether it is a wrong request, error will come. If it is a correct request, the home screen will become. It will be decided by the process. So it's like an internal interconnection between the multiple components. So that's why we should design the system in a proper way, how the interconnections of the components will be happen. So that's why in a companies, in every company, TA will be happen. Okay, technical architect, the name is, we will be calling it as a technical architect, or we can say technical analyst also. But generally we'll use the word architects. So they will architect the high level and low level design of the application, how it should be implemented. So designing phase of your requirements. Once designing is done, based on that particular design, developers will start with the coding. Okay, so coding will be done based on the requirements and the design document. Once coding was done, they need to do the unit testing, because whatever the code they have written, they have to check each and every line whether it should running or not, whether it is correctly working or not. We have to validate by using the unit testing phase. Who will do the unit testing means dev team only. Developers only will do, which means the programs will be verified by the development team. And then we have to go with the integration testing. Let's say you have implemented some 3 or 4 codes, or we have different team members. So like dev 1 has been implemented some logic, dev 2 implemented second logic, dev 3 implemented third logic. By combining all three only, login page will come. So you have to integrate all that particular code, and you have to test integration was happening correctly or not. So unit and integration will be done by the developers only, but mostly will be done by the development team. Sometimes the QA also will be involved in the integration testing. So once integration is done, then your software will be ready. Then you have to perform the software testing, which means QA will do the software testing of this particular changes in the environment. Okay, this is the things will be done by the Scrum team, Dev and QA. But so let's say this is your 2 weeks of duration, but every day we will be having one priority meeting. That meeting we will be calling it as a DSM meeting. DSM is nothing but daily stand up. So don't confuse guys, because it is like all new words we are learning today. Okay, but no worries, I'll talk more about all these things continuously so that you will get habituated about these words also. So DSM, daily stand up meeting. What will happen in daily stand up meeting is, so it's like a, I can say it is a status call. So we will discuss only 3 things about this particular meeting. One thing, what we did on yesterday. Second thing, what we are going to do today. Third thing, any obstacles or blocks. Okay. So 3 things we will discuss in the daily stand-up meeting. What we did on yesterday, what we are going to do on today, any obstacles will be discussed in the daily stand-up meeting. For example, you are the tester. So what you will do? Okay. So yesterday I have written the test cases for login module. Today also I need to continue because everything is not completed. So today also I will continue on the writing of test cases. So that is my update. As a tester, you need to write the test cases. I will explain what is test case, what is test scenario in the later class. Okay. Okay, today is done. Tomorrow again you need to give the status. Okay, I have completed the test cases writing yesterday. So today I need to start testing of the particular build from the development team. But I have a blocker because I didn't get build from the development team, so I didn't started it. So that is a blocker. You should get the build from the development team, then only you can start testing that particular feature, which means they need to say some URL to test so that you can launch the application, you can test it. That is a blocker. So we will say the another word impediments. Impediments is also nothing but a blockers. Okay. So we will discuss about 3 things. It's like a status. What you did, what you are going to do, and if you have any block. If you don't have any blockers, no need to say. So it's like a only 15 minutes meeting which will be organized by our Scrum Master to know the status of each and every team members, whether you are going in a correct way or not. And the PO Scrum Master and Scrum team will be joined to this particular call to take the status of each and every team member. Okay. Okay, so you tested the software. Again, you need to take the acceptance from the customers, whether we have implemented as per the expectation or not. So we have another meeting. That meeting we will be calling it as a review meeting. What will be and who will be there in the review meeting means in a review meeting, customers will be there and Scrum team will be there and PO will be there. So you will be giving some demo to the customers to take the feedback from them, because whether they have satisfied whatever they have expected, that is what you are giving or not, will be decided in the review meeting. So review is nothing but to collect the feedback from the customer. You are giving some demo to them. If feedback is good, you can release it. If feedback is not good, whatever the feedback they have provided, based on that, dev team need to do the changes and you need to test the changes. Again, collect the feedback from them and then you can release it. Releasing it nothing but that features you are giving it to the customer. Once released, that will be in a maintenance. So who will do the maintenance is production support team or change control board team. Okay. So maintenance will be done by the change control board team or the production support team. So whatever it is the application, so support is required. So you are facing some issues, you have to call them and they will assist you for your issues. That's why the maintenance is also important. Okay, this is one flow. Let's say in product backlog, you have collected 20 user stories, or you can say 20 tasks they have collected from the customer. In this particular sprint one, let's say you worked for only 3 tasks or 3 user stories. But rest 17 is waiting for you because you have completed only 3 and you collected the feedback and you have given. So it release will be depend on if it was completely one module, you can release it. Otherwise, the release will be combination of multiple sprints. Okay. So what about that 17? Again, sprint 2 you need to start. But before starting with the second sprint, there will be a another meeting. Okay. One is sprint retrospective meeting. This is one thing. Okay. And we will be also having the sprint refinement meeting. So these are the two meetings additionally we have in this particular thing. Okay. So what is the difference between retro and refinement? New words. Retro meeting, refinement meeting. So in retrospective meeting, we will discuss the past sprint user stories, which means whatever the task we have completed, whether it was completed good or not, which means what went good, what went not good. If something is not went good, is there any skill improvements for the team members? That will be decided here. If the skill is required, they will schedule a corresponding courses to the team members to work with up to speed. Only these things will be discussed in the retro meeting. Okay. Let's say, for example, we have implemented one feature. Okay. Development went fast, unit testing went fast, but coming to integration, so it was not integrated properly. We are not expecting interconnection of the component properly. So that was a not went good. So next time to go with up to speed, what are the things we need to do? That will be discussed in the retro plans. In refinement meeting, what will be decided? So to take up the next sprint users, if there is any changes in the upcoming stories, that will be decided with the refinement meeting. If there is any changes in the stories, again it will be changed, and again they will do the sprint planning. Again the process will start with designing, coding, unit testing, integration, software testing, and we'll have the review calls and release date. So the cycle will be repeated until all the software development is done. It might be 2 years, 3 years, based on the requirement. It will be there. But if it is a product, it will continue, because product means you are adding up all the features one by one. So product will be for the long term. So this is the Scrum flow diagram actually. Okay. This is the diagram of SL Scrum. Okay. Bidding. This is the first thing. Yeah. So first thing will be software bidding. We are taking the proposal and we are appointing one PO. PO is gathering requirements and helping Scrum team to decide everything. And we have the planning meeting. So because we have lot of backlog, we will be confused which task to be done first. So that's why by doing proper planning with size, complexity, and importance, we have chosen one particular task for that particular sprint duration. And technical architect is designing the all interconnection of the components, and developers will do the coding based on this particular design, and they will test their programs. They will integrate all the logics and then give the software to the testing team. Then we will do the testing of all positive cases, negative cases, everything with respect to user perspective. And if everything is working as expected, then we will submit it to the customer. If it is not working, again you can ask to the development team to do the changes in their programs. Okay. And then testing, review meeting, what we will be giving. So we will give some demo to the customers. Okay, this is what you have asked, whether it is matching or not. For checking that, we will give a demo. If it was matched, then it will be going to release. If they have given some feedback, okay, it was not like that, then developers will do the changes, testing need to be done, and then again we will take the customer approval, which means we will call it as an acceptance from the customers, and then we will release it. It will be in a maintenance. This is one flow. But again, taking the new requirement, again we will be taking retro, because next sprint should be good. Whatever it is not went good in the last sprint, we will discuss that backlog things, and I will take the some skill improvement things. And then again we have the refinement call. In that, if there is any changes in the upcoming user stories, here only they will decide, because in a previous sprint the customer will talk and they will share some feedbacks. Based on these things, if upcoming story should be changed, if we thought like that, in the refinement meeting we will refine that particular user stories by doing the changes. And then again team will pick up the user stories based on the importance, and they will work on like this. The sprint follow process will be followed one by one in a companies. So if you understand, so this is like a lengthy one explanation, but after this topic, no topic will be having this much of lengthy, because the process you should understand. That's why this is entire process I have explained in one class, but these things I will repeat in the next class also, so that you will get the clarity. But this is like a kind of process flow diagram. That's why this is this much of lengthy one. Okay. So if it was like a half of understanding, then also it is fine, because I will give again the brief overview of the SL process again. Tomorrow I'll change the laptop, by the way, because I think something is happening. I was unable to hear your voice, guys. So don't mind for that. Sorry. Tomorrow onwards, I'll maximum rectify this issue. But if you have any doubts or any concerns regarding to the today topic, then let me know. And Rashmi Ranjan, you have joined today, so that's why I will give you the brief, like what we say, the topics which we are going to cover for the our testing course. Okay. So as a testing, we need to go with the two types of testing process. That is manual testing. Yeah. Second thing, automation testing. These two we need to do. So it's testing is like you have to test the softwares to match the customer requirements, whatever the customer is expecting, whatever developer has been implemented, both should be matched. Then only we can say your application is working fine. Otherwise you have to say it as an issue to the development team. So manual testing means if manual tester is doing all the testing, it will be a manual testing. Automation is nothing but if that steps has been converted into scripts by using some tools and languages, we will be calling it as a automation testing. I need to validate the Amazon page. How I will validate? First, I need to launch one browser. I need to enter Amazon website URL. Okay, I'm doing it all manually. Amazon has been launched, and then I need to click on sign in button. I need to enter some data over here, and I need to click on continue. So I need to validate this error message. Everything the tester is doing. This is what manual testing. Automation is nothing but whatever the steps I did. So launching of browser, entering of URL, entering the data, every step will be scripted. That is what we will be calling it as a test script by using tool Selenium. By using one programming language, you can choose any programming language. Let's say we can go with Java or Python or C sharp, .NET, whatever it is. Whatever we are comfortable, we can choose one programming language and we will write the test script. That is what automation testing. Okay. As per manual testing, you should understand the process of software development lifecycle, how the softwares will be developed in the company. So that is what I have explained. The main process, we have different types of SDLC process, but out of all, SL process is the most important process. So that's why we started with the SL process. Okay. So once it was done, you have to understand in how many stages or levels you have to do the testing. That will be covered in the next topics. How many stages or levels? And then we will be starting with the SDLC life cycle, software testing life cycle. How the testing will be done in a different phases. So everything related to manual testing, including one real project by practicing the test cases, writing test data preparation and execution, everything will be covered in this particular 4 chapters. Coming to automation, for writing the script, we will go with Selenium classes, we will go with Java topics. So for automation, no complex coding is required, but basics of Java is required. The CoreJava concepts, whatever we have, that will be covered in the Java classes, OOPS concepts and basics. That will be sufficient for your automation testing. And I will also explain the robot for Windows automation, Appium for mobile automation, and then we'll go with some framework topics. The framework will include Maven, Git, page object model, and then TestNG framework. Okay. To understand the end-to-end process of software application, I will go with SQL testing and the API testing using Postman. So these are additional topics. This I will cover in a high level. The APM also I will cover in a high level. Okay. So this is like an end-to-end architecture of our course. We are going to cover it in the next 2 months of duration. Okay, any more doubts? No, Saturday we don't have classes till Friday only, 5 sessions. So as I said, if required, I'll take more time, but I won't take it up on a Saturday and Sunday. Okay. Yeah. So any more doubts? you are able to understand partially or like fully also it is fine, but you can able to understand very clearly. But if anyone is having still some more clarification of if this particular results process, then I will explain tomorrow. Anyway, I will explain tomorrow for the better understanding. Apart from that, you have any doubts related to anything, you can just ping me on the chat for today. Tomorrow we'll fix this issue. Any doubts more? Jagdish or Sivakumari or Rashmi Ranjan? Are we clear? Yeah. Fine. Another update, like I think today is demo will be ended. I think the link will be ended for today. Tomorrow onwards, I think it is a paid link. Okay, just to confirmation. So tomorrow also the same time. Okay, please join at 10 o'clock. You also join it online. Okay, please ask for the online link and all, and join with the online link. Okay, thank you. If no doubts, we'll stop the session here and we'll go with tomorrow. Thank you. Thanks for joining everyone. Bye.